What's a gotcha moment? An unexpected, usually disconcerting challenge, revelation, or catch. Also, an attempt to embarrass, expose, or disgrace someone, such as a politician, with a gotcha. Councilor Tanya Graham is added again. Councilor Graham interrupts the city manager's report to add a new agenda item.
Councilor Graham?
Thank you, Mayor Eakins. I'm not sure if we're finished with the city manager's report, but I have a request to add an agenda item.
Okay.
Thank you. I understand from social media that you'll be proposing a forensic audit as soon as you have enough votes on council.
Wait a second. Heard it on social media? Really? Did she not discuss it with the mayor prior to the meeting to get a clear understanding before raising an issue?
And my request is to put this on the agenda today. As we all know, a forensic audit is asked for when there's suspicion of criminal behavior.
No, we don't know that is the full meaning of forensic. Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition includes uses in public discussion and debate. The American Institute of CPAs include in their definition the interpretation and communication of findings in administrative venues. Lay people generally understand forensic as an in-depth investigation. Councilor Graham uses her narrow criminal forensic definition for a gotcha.
And so that, to me, is the most timely thing that this body could take up, and so I would like to add that to the agenda tonight. Certainly, if there are concerns and there is evidence that this body should be looking at, we need to get to that as soon as possible.
Mayor Julie Akins informs Councilor Graham of her interpretation and intent.
Well, since you're talking about something I said, I can tell you that I am not potentially in the future asking for a forensic audit because I'm making claims of any crime. It's also not an emergency. And when we add last-minute things to the agenda, we have an agreement among us that if they are not noticed items, that we can add them at a later date. So if you'd like to put that on the look ahead, be happy to do so.
Councilor Graham ignores and disrespects the mayor and reinforces her objection based solely on her understanding. Is she insinuating that the mayor is lying?
Well, we need to take it up as soon as possible if, in fact, there is evidence of wrongdoing. I don't think that this is something that should be put off. I'm assuming that there is evidence because this is a very serious assertion.
Councilor Graham insists on her narrow definition of one-word forensic. The mayor again patiently explains her message.
There was no assertion regarding evidence of a crime. I said I would call for a forensic audit. I do want to call for a forensic audit at some point. I'm not prepared to do that at this time, otherwise I would have asked for it to be on the look ahead. If you'd like it on the look ahead, go ahead. Ask for it. But I thought we weren't going to do this gotcha stuff. This is tiresome.
Councilor Graham continues her gotcha. She again refuses to acknowledge the mayor's interpretation and intent. Now Councilor Graham lectures the mayor.
If I may, Mayor Akins, this putting things out into the public sphere in social media, things that say that you're calling for a criminal investigation, essentially, of our staff, without bringing forward any evidence about why that is destructive. That's the problem. That's not a gotcha piece. I wouldn't be sitting here today if this hadn't been dropped out onto social media in a very offhanded kind of way.
The mayor patiently restates her interpretation and intent, then informs Councilor Graham of the correct formal procedures.
Never said it was a crime. You've got to stop that. It was never said. You're turning something into something that was never said. I said at some point I would call for a forensic audit. I would ask my colleagues for the possibility of a forensic audit in the future. At some time when I'm ready to ask for that, I will. I haven't asked for it now because I didn't say there was criminal wrongdoing. You're putting words in my mouth that were never said. And it's not appropriate. We have an agenda in front of us. We have work to do. If you want to put this on a future agenda, the process is that you get another counselor and you ask for it on the agenda. You give it to the city manager, he puts it on the look ahead, and Bob's your uncle, there we go.
This is not the first time an attack has been made against the mayor and her authority.
This is just you trying to make an allegation for something I said on social media. I have been down this road, up one side and down the other, with something I say on social media, someone not liking it, and then trying to boil me in oil in public. It's not appropriate. We should be working together as grown-ups and get our job done.
Can we move forward, please?
Yes, I'd like to move forward. The answer is no, I'm not going to put it on the agenda.
Your Honor.
I had a question.
Counselor Stephen Jensen contributes in continuing the gotcha.
A motion was made to put on the agenda. I second that motion.
I didn't hear it in the form of a motion.
I move to put a forensics audit request conversation on the agenda today.
I second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call?
Counselor Sean Moran questions what is being voted on. He questions what forensic audit. Counselor Graham restates her narrow definition and then says,
If there is no evidence, then simply say there is no evidence, and we'll move on.
the mayor has already repeatedly said that there was no claim of criminal wrongdoing. Why is Counselor Graham not moving on? Vote on motion to add it to the agenda was approved 4-2. Councilors Graham, Jensen, Hyatt, Seffinger voted to continue the gotcha. Councilors Moran and Duquesne voted to stop it. Councilor Graham's agenda item is discussed at the end of the meeting. Councilor Graham continues to disregard the mayor and insists that her own interpretation is valid as to what the mayor meant.
This is really just a question back to you, Mayor Akins, of it looks like you have identified that you are going to ask for a forensic audit of the city finances. That's my assumption when you said that you were going to ask for a forensic audit in the middle of a social media conversation about city finances. That is from what I explained earlier, that is in an investigative audit that somebody calls when they think that there is mishandling happening or miscommunicating of finances.
Councilor Graham changes her definition from criminality to mishandling or miscommunication of finances.
So am I being accused of something?
If you have evidence that there needs to be an investigation, this council needs to hear it, and we need to hear it quickly. It is our highest responsibility.
Mayor.
If you don't have any evidence, then I think our staff deserves an apology, because that's who you're after.
Okay,
in
so I
terms of
am
forensic.
being accused of something.
No, I'm asking you for the evidence so this body can take action.
I will speak to my desire for a forensic audit, should I decide to speak to that, to this body, at the time and place of my choosing. I don't actually report to you. So, should I wish to bring this forward to council, I will do so. It would be most appropriate in an executive session, if that's the discussion. I am not prepared at this time to have that discussion. So if you are accusing me of something, then I will invoke my right. If I'm not being accused of something, then I will speak to it at the time and place of my choosing.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It seems like every 3 months we do this, where people take pop shots at the mayor. First Amendment right, she can speak to what she wants to speak to. Audits are reasonable. That aside, having a free shot at the mayor seems to be open season every 3 months. I don't support that. I think we're better than that. In the spirit of working together, congenially, in cooperation, I find it, and honestly, I find it kind of dirty and a cheap shot, and something that I hope you're held accountable for in November.
Councilor Duquesne?
Thank you, Mayor Akins. We all evening talked about our fiduciary responsibility, and auditing is a way of the world. Mayor Akins, when I read that, at no time was accusing anyone of any one thing. That's not the way I read it at all.
It's not the way I intended it. So I don't know what you want me to do here. I've said what I said, and I will talk about it further at the time and place of my choosing. I will do it appropriately so as to put it on an agenda so this body has an opportunity to look at it. And if it is such that it deserves to be in an executive session, then I'll call for that. Otherwise, I have nothing further to say on the matter.
A few days later, Mayor Akins publicly presented background to her reasons for suggesting a forensic audit. Why I Favor a Forensic Audit by Julie Akins. At the July 5th Ashland City Council meeting, the use of the term forensic audit was used several times. I suggested it might be a good idea to conduct an audit and a string of conversation on social media, and an explanation was demanded. My sentence became an unexpected agenda item. I wasn't prepared then, but I am now. In accounting, the typical use of the term applies to looking for any unusual developments in the accounting and financial systems of an organization. The city's former finance director, Allison Chan, now retired, suggested a thorough look at the city's finances before she left. She said that the city's finances were not clean due to a variety of financial practices over the years. I concur, as did the majority of counselors nodding their heads when she said it. She didn't imply criminal wrongdoing in suggesting this, and I am not either. How could anyone know what will be discovered in an audit until it's complete? But any organization with millions of dollars spent annually does well to take a step back and do the kind of auditing that's done so deeply nothing is missed. That's typically a forensic audit. Here are some facts we already know. We've had 4 different finance directors in 5 years, each with a different way of doing things. We've been discussing a structural deficit for 2 years. And last year's finance director made a math error, Melanie Purcell, to the tune of $563,000, which Allison had to discover and correct. We know that without an audit. An audit might tell us more, especially one that goes back 5 years. The more we know, the better off we are in righting our financial ship. It's a reasonable idea. I don't see why anyone would be offended. I brought this up on social media because that's one of the places I speak to Ashlanders in these uncertain pandemic times. Just as I stop and talk at the store, it's my job to listen and answer whenever I can. It's what helped me know Ashland residents would not pass the doomed multi-million-dollar City Hall bond. It's what informed me the jail bond would not be popular with Ashland voters. It still informs me that residents do not want to pay higher fees on their utility bills and that most residents are deeply concerned about a lack of reasonable housing. It's doing my job in the 21st century. In this modern era, people elected to represent must enter dialogue with residents where they are, and that's on various social media platforms. So that's where I go to listen, try out ideas, and see what people think. It's a very unsophisticated view to imagine that social media plays no role in community discourse, or that I am to exclude myself in such a discourse. I'm not always correct in my assumptions. Trying them out on social media is one way to road test them. Some people think interacting with the public, as I do, is not mayoral. But to me, nothing is more mayoral than speaking to people and doing my best to represent them. I am not above anyone or below anyone. I am just another neighbor working for our town. I intend to keep doing that.